Sunny Hostin, her husband accused of committing federal insurance fraud in a lawsuit.
The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud.
Have you heard the rumors swirling around Sunny Hostin's husband lately? If you think you know everything about the outspoken co-host of daytime television's most polarizing talk show, get ready to have your jaw drop. This is not your standard celebrity gossip. Far from it. We're talking allegations of federal insurance fraud, sky-high legal stakes, and an undercurrent of speculation that might make the most seasoned Hollywood insider gasp. The story unfolding is packed with enough twists, accusations, and controversies to fill a primetime docuseries. And if you thought Sunny's fiery on-screen persona was just for show, buckle up, because you're about to see her life off-camera in a totally different light. Picture this. A respected TV personality who has always positioned herself as a champion of truth and justice, suddenly finding her own family name entangled in a lawsuit so extensive that it's been labeled one of the biggest RICO cases in New York's recent history. It's as if the very values she has promoted, integrity, honesty, and accountability, are standing trial alongside her husband's reputation. There are hushed whispers suggesting she might have known more than she's letting on, and the internet is buzzing with theories about whether she actually used her legal expertise to navigate this murky web of suspicion. Everyone is asking the same question. Is Sunny Hostin the ultimate voice of reason she's always claimed to be, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? Before we dive into the gritty details of these accusations, it helps to understand Sunny Hostin's background, because that's where the biggest irony starts. She wasn't always the daytime TV commentator with strong opinions on politics, social issues, and celebrity scandals. She once walked the corridors of federal courthouses as a prosecutor, building cases and dismantling defenses with the skill and rigor that made her a household name in legal circles. Over the years, she transitioned into media, bringing that prosecutorial edge to The View, where she became known for her no-nonsense style of tackling hot-button topics. For many fans, Sunny exemplifies the driven, outspoken professional who carved out her niche in a cutthroat industry. She developed a reputation for championing underdogs, criticizing corporate greed, and demanding accountability from politicians and public figures. Viewers celebrated her for her bold style, a contrast to the more measured, sometimes guarded approach of her co-hosts. She was the one who wouldn't hesitate to call out hypocrisy whenever she spotted it, on air or off. That's precisely why the current situation has stunned so many people. How does someone who built a career championing moral values handle the possibility that her household might be involved in a massive fraud scheme? It's not just the scale of the accusations that has audiences reeling, it's the searing contradiction between Sunny's public persona and the drama now unfolding. She spent years critiquing everyone from Hollywood elites to Washington power players for their perceived failings. Yet her own family name has been thrust into a high-stakes scandal involving allegations of exploiting insurance laws for personal gain. For many viewers, it's the gap between the moral high ground she staked out on screen and the crisis playing out off-camera that makes this story so difficult to ignore. Now that we've laid the groundwork for why this is causing such an uproar, let's talk specifics about the accusations. Emmanuel Hostin, Sunny's husband, has been named in a massive lawsuit initiated by American Transit, an insurance company that primarily covers drivers in bustling urban environments. The lawsuit doesn't pull any punches. It claims that Emmanuel Hostin performed unnecessary surgeries, filed fraudulent insurance claims, and joined forces with dozens, if not hundreds, of other medical professionals, clinics, and associated entities in what's being called one of the largest insurance fraud rings ever prosecuted in the state. If the word RICO sounds familiar, that's because it's usually associated with taking down organized crime syndicates. The Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act is no joke. It was originally designed to go after mob bosses and large-scale criminal enterprises, making it an extremely serious matter for anyone named in such a lawsuit. In layman's terms, it means the legal system is treating this group of defendants as though they might have acted in concert, conspiring to break the law and profit from it. Under RICO, if you're found guilty, damages can be tripled. That means if the court decides these surgeries and claims added up to tens of millions of dollars in fraud, we could be talking about damages in the hundreds of millions, or even billions. It's the kind of staggering liability that can bring down an entire medical empire, sink personal fortunes, and destroy reputations in the blink of an eye. American Transit alleges that Emanuel and his co-defendants manipulated New York's no-fault insurance laws, which are designed to help accident victims get medical treatment without the usual hassles of establishing which party is at fault. These regulations were put in place to make things easier for everyday drivers. But the lawsuit claims this ring exploited the system for massive personal gain. Taxi drivers, rideshare operators, and individuals who might already be in financially vulnerable positions are the ones who appear to have been the most affected. If even a fraction of these allegations hold up, the ethical breach would be enormous. Not only would it be illegal, but it would be taking advantage of people who often lack the resources to question a doctor's advice or investigate their own medical bills. But that's not all. The lawsuit alleges that some of these procedures were so unnecessary, they might have put patients at risk. Imagine waking up from surgery only to find out the entire ordeal was orchestrated just to line someone's pockets. It's not just morally repugnant, it's downright terrifying. We're talking about individuals who trust doctors to provide care, only to discover the scalpel might have been wielded in the name of fraud. Now add in the fact that this alleged network was wide-reaching, involving multiple clinics, billing specialists, and perhaps even lawyers advising on how to navigate the no-fault system, and you start to see why this is such a bombshell. Sunny Hostin may not be on trial in this lawsuit, but that hasn't stopped the rumor mill from going into overdrive. After all, she spent years as a federal prosecutor, someone with a deep understanding of how criminal enterprises are investigated, prosecuted, and eventually brought to justice. That's precisely the angle many are latching onto. Could Sunny's familiarity with legal tactics have played a role in helping her husband avoid detection for so long, if these accusations are indeed true? Or is she an unwitting bystander, blindsided by revelations that have turned her world upside down? Speculation ranges from the mild, that maybe she suspected something was off but kept quiet out of loyalty, to the wild, that she actively participated in creating shell companies or complicating the paper trail so investigators would struggle to figure out where the money was going. We have to stress that these are rumors, not established facts. Nonetheless, such whispers have found fertile ground online, especially among critics who never quite bought into Sunny's fearless moral stance on television. For them, it's poetic justice that the person who once lectured others on accountability might be forced to address ethical lapses in her own household. The real kicker here is the irony. In her career as a federal prosecutor, Sunny might have prosecuted individuals for crimes similar in scope, if not the same in detail, as what her husband stands accused of. She knows how these cases are built, the kind of evidence prosecutors look for, and the legal defenses that can crumble under close scrutiny. So, when the news broke that her own husband had been ensnared in a sweeping fraud investigation, the shock was doubly impactful. It's that clash between her public persona and her private life that has fans and critics glued to every update, analyzing every statement, and parsing every piece of new information for clues to her potential involvement. But that wasn't the whole story, because once people started digging, they uncovered tension in her professional life too. The place where she built her media fame now finds itself at a crossroads, caught between supporting one of its most recognizable personalities or distancing itself to maintain credibility. Anyone who's ever tuned into The View knows it thrives on drama, debate, and heated opinions. But the drama usually stays in front of the camera, revolving around the hot topics they debate each morning. This time, the show has found itself in the middle of a controversy it never saw coming. Sunny Hostin's co-hosts, usually eager to discuss the latest celebrity scandal or political debacle, have been oddly reserved about addressing the allegations leveled against Emanuel Hostin. Observers note that whenever the topic of Sunny's personal life arises, her colleagues quickly pivot to another subject or speak in careful generalities that avoid giving away any real stance. This is unusual for a program that routinely prides itself on forthright discussions. Some wonder if producers have issued guidelines instructing the panel to tread lightly, or if the co-hosts are simply waiting for more facts before they speak out. Either way, the tension is noticeable. Viewers have reported that Sunny appears more guarded, less likely to unleash her trademark fiery takedowns on other people's controversies. It's as if she's acutely aware that her own situation is overshadowing everything she says. Behind the scenes, rumor has it that network executives are holding internal discussions about the future of the show and Sunny's role. The View has always walked a fine line between bold commentary and professional decorum, but with a scandal of this magnitude, they might be concerned about the show's credibility. If the allegations gain more traction, and if Sunny herself is ever formally investigated, the network may face intense pressure to address the situation more publicly, possibly even to part ways with her. For now, everything is speculation, but the whispers are growing louder by the day. It's a precarious balancing act for everyone involved. On one hand, Sunny remains innocent in the eyes of the law. She isn't the one named in the lawsuit. On the other hand, she's an integral part of a show that frequently demands accountability from celebrities and politicians. The contradiction of condemning wrongdoing on camera while her own family faces shocking accusations is not lost on the viewing audience. And in show business, perception can be just as powerful as reality. But even with the tension at The View intensifying, Sunny and her husband aren't backing down from the fight. They're launching a counteroffensive that aims to flip the narrative and target the insurance company that sparked all this controversy in the first place. If you thought Sunny Hostin and her husband were going to sit silently while allegations of fraud took over the headlines, think again. They've come out swinging, and they're doing it with a high-profile legal team led by none other than Mark Garagos. Garagos is known for representing big-name clients and isn't shy about taking an aggressive approach in defense of his clientele. Together, they've filed a countersuit accusing American Transit of running a smear campaign designed to distract from the insurer's own alleged mismanagement and financial woes. In their statements, Sunny and Emmanuel claim that American Transit has a history of filing baseless lawsuits to avoid making legitimate payouts. They point to other legal challenges the company has faced, including past investigations and even a suit from rideshare giant Uber. According to the Hostin's legal team, this new lawsuit is nothing more than a desperate attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance firm to shift blame. They argue that Emmanuel's medical procedures were all above board and medically necessary, and they accuse the company of failing to understand or deliberately misinterpreting standard medical practices. Further, they demand millions in damages for what they allege is a defamatory campaign that has wreaked havoc on Emmanuel's reputation and the emotional well-being of their family. Critics, however, are quick to dismiss this countersuit as a diversionary tactic. They say it's a classic move. Attack the accuser to deflect attention from the original allegations. From an outside perspective, it's not easy to parse which side is spinning the truth. Legal battles, especially ones involving possible RICO violations, often become messy tug-of-wars where each party tries to define the narrative. American Transit maintains they have a mountain of evidence showing a pattern of fraudulent claims linked to unnecessary surgeries, a paper trail that allegedly leads straight back to Emmanuel Hostin and his associates. Meanwhile, the Hostins stand firm in their counterclaims, framing themselves as victims of a corporate behemoth that's attempting to ruin honest medical practitioners to avoid paying large settlements. The clash of these two narratives has created a perfect storm for media coverage, fueling heated debates on social media and in the wider press. One side depicts Emmanuel as a greedy opportunist who exploited the no-fault system, while the other portrays him as a talented orthopedic professional who has been falsely targeted by an insurance company looking for a scapegoat. But the public conversation extends far beyond who is right in this lawsuit. People are asking deeper, more troubling questions about the ethics and moral responsibilities of public figures and how power dynamics play out when accusations of wrongdoing come knocking. And that leads us right into the next layer of this twisted saga: the real-world impact on people who might have been exploited along the way. It's easy to get swept up in the high drama of a celebrity scandal. After all, Sunny Hostin is a well-known figure, and her husband's alleged involvement in one of the largest RICO cases in New York has all the makings of a blockbuster storyline. But at the core of this situation are real people: taxi drivers, rideshare operators, and others, who may have been subjected to invasive medical procedures they didn't actually need. These individuals might have placed their trust in professionals, believing surgery was their only option for relief after an accident, only to discover later that the entire ordeal could have been a sham, motivated by profit. For anyone who's ever undergone surgery, the thought that a medical procedure might not have been necessary is terrifying. Surgeries come with risks, complications from anesthesia, The potential for infections, long recovery times, not to mention the psychological toll of going under the knife. If these claims about Emmanuel Hostin are accurate, then multiple patients could have been harmed physically, financially, and emotionally. That's what turns a scandal into a potential tragedy. People's well-being was on the line, possibly sacrificed for corporate greed or personal enrichment. The ethical dimension of this case extends to Sunny as well. As someone who has been a prominent voice on issues of justice and equality, her moral stance is now under the microscope. How can someone who spends her television hours championing accountability reconcile these allegations with her private life? It's a question many of her critics are asking, often in scathing terms. But it's also a question many of her fans are grappling with, torn between their admiration for her candid approach on camera and the troubling accusations facing her family. Regardless of which side people fall on, one thing is clear. The scandal has forced observers to confront the complexities of power and privilege in the legal and medical systems. In the broader cultural context, this situation also highlights how easily public trust can be undermined. When high-profile individuals fail to live up to their own expressed values, it feeds a sense of cynicism about authority figures in general. Whether it's a politician caught in a corruption scheme, a celebrity arrested for misconduct, or a TV commentator ensnared in a legal battle, each scandal chips away at the idea that the people we watch on our screens can be trusted to do what's right when nobody is looking. It's a reminder that fame doesn't equate to virtue, and that the line between public persona and private actions can be alarmingly thin. But that wasn't the final puzzle piece. The drama only intensifies when you consider the all-out war unfolding on social media, where Sunny's fans and her critics are duking it out in the digital arena, each side convinced they hold the moral high ground. Whenever a public figure's personal life takes center stage, the court of public opinion is often swifter, if not harsher, than any courtroom. In Sunny Hostin's case, the online response has been explosive. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and online forums are filled with heated debates that paint vastly different pictures of what's really happening. On one hand, you have longtime fans of The View jumping to Sunny's defense. They argue that she isn't the one named in the lawsuit, that she's innocent unless proven otherwise, and that critics are unfairly targeting her out of spite for her outspoken political views. For them, any attempts to link her directly to Emmanuel's alleged wrongdoing are pure speculation. They say it's sexist, or at least unfair, to assume she had knowledge or involvement in her husband's business affairs just because of her background in law. On the other hand, skeptics and outright critics are having a field day. They claim Sunny's credibility as a commentator on The View is permanently damaged. They ask how she can look viewers in the eye and discuss issues of corruption or malfeasance when her own household is under the microscope for alleged wrongdoing. Some even call for her immediate resignation, saying it's hypocritical for her to continue lecturing politicians and celebrities about morality and ethics when the person who shares her home is accused of systematically defrauding an insurance system designed to protect vulnerable drivers. Adding fuel to the fire are a few commentators who've seized this opportunity to scrutinize Sunny's social commentary over the years. She has frequently spoken out against systemic inequalities, the need for social justice reforms, and the importance of standing up for those without power. Critics argue that if her husband did indeed capitalize on a system for personal gain, it undercuts everything she claims to stand for. Fans counter that a spouse's alleged actions don't negate one's personal beliefs, especially if Sunny was unaware of the specifics, yet the battle lines are drawn, and social media is the battlefield where each side's passionate arguments rage on. This phenomenon isn't new. Public figures often find themselves on trial in both the legal system and the public sphere. But the scale of interest here and the polarizing nature of Sunny's on-air persona has taken the debate to a whole new level. As the case unfolds, more fuel is thrown onto the social media bonfire with every new rumor, court filing, or soundbite. Whether you're rooting for Sunny to clear her name or waiting for her to admit complicity, the one fact nobody can deny is that this story is gripping the public's attention like few scandals in recent memory. But the question remains, is all of this a momentary storm that will pass once the lawsuit settles, or are we watching the slow-motion implosion of a prominent media figure whose brand is tied to moral righteousness? That leads us to the final piece of this puzzle, a reflection on how Sunny, Emmanuel, and The View could be forever changed by these explosive allegations. After combing through every twist and turn, from Emmanuel Hostin's alleged multi-million-dollar scheme to Sunny's potential involvement, from the tension at The View to the countersuit accusing American Transit of waging a smear campaign, it's clear this story is far from reaching its final chapter. A lawsuit of this magnitude doesn't resolve overnight. The legal proceedings could stretch on for years, with depositions, court hearings, and settlements that might occur far from the public eye. Each new development could either bolster Emmanuel's claim of innocence or tighten the noose around him, dragging Sunny's reputation along for the ride. The ripple effects of this scandal are enormous. For Sunny, it could mean an abrupt end to her reign as the go-to voice on daytime television. If producers decide the heat is too much, or if her credibility wanes to the point of no return. For Emmanuel, even if he beats the lawsuit, his career as an orthopedic surgeon could be tainted by the stench of these accusations for years to come. Patients may be reluctant to trust a doctor whose name was associated with possibly one of the largest insurance fraud cases in the state's history. And let's not overlook the potential for criminal investigations if evidence points to wrongdoing beyond civil liability. The specter of a criminal trial would make the current drama pale in comparison. Beyond the Hostin family and The View, the conversation speaks to a much larger cultural question. How do we treat public figures who find themselves caught in scandals that contradict their public stances? Some people argue that a person's professional opinions aren't necessarily invalidated by personal turmoil or even alleged misconduct in their orbit. Others say you can't preach morality while ignoring the skeletons in your own closet. It's a debate that's not only about Sunny Hostin, but about the broader expectations we place on public voices who shape conversations on politics, culture, and justice. Ultimately, Sunny's future, and her husband's, hangs in the balance. Will their countersuit shift the blame squarely onto the shoulders of American Transit, revealing an insurance giant desperate to cut costs and refusing legitimate claims? Or will the evidence suggest that Emmanuel Hostin was deeply involved in a scheme that defrauded countless victims, leaving a trail of unnecessary surgeries and inflated invoices? And if the latter is true, how much did Sunny actually know? These questions remain unanswered, and the tension surrounding them is exactly why so many people can't look away. For now, all we can do is watch the legal process unfold, keep an eye on the shifting dynamics at The View, and see if Sunny Hostin can maintain the moral high ground she's claimed for so long. If you've been riveted by every twist in this saga, you're not alone. The allegations, the courtroom wrangling, and the potential hypocrisy make for a drama that's practically tailor-made for our scandal-obsessed culture. But as we await the next bombshell, it's worth remembering that beneath the salacious headlines lie real people, real potential victims, and a real question of accountability. Only time will tell whether Sunny and Emmanuel manage to clear their names, or if this unfolding story will mark the beginning of the end for one of daytime TV's most controversial voices. What do you think lies ahead? Will Sunny emerge unscathed, or are we about to witness a downfall that will change daytime television forever? Share your thoughts, keep your eyes peeled for the next development, and don't be surprised if the headlines get even wilder. The narrative is still taking shape, and until the final gavel falls, every new revelation has the power to upend what we thought we knew. Stay tuned, because this story isn't just about one celebrity couple, it's about how the mighty can fall when accusations of wrongdoing collide with a carefully curated public image. And as we've learned time and time again, the bigger they are, the harder they tend to land.